Welcome everyone to Pool by Design, a program that is composed of 12 talks where we will learn how to find product market fit. And that is brought to you by myself, Diego, and Potencia Ventures, an impact investment group focused on business models that improve the lives of lower income people, which if you think about it is awesome. So thank you very much, Potencia, for supporting me and making this possible. Now, day one. So let's talk about what is this thing that is called product market fit? How can we get there? And how can we fail to get there? So the model that everyone has in mind is something like, before getting to product market fit, you need something that people want. And before that, we will launch a product. But there is something that happens in our minds during this journey that can get everything like falling apart. We launch our product. We know that we are in this stage because the product is live, obvious, right? Now, problem solution fit is if we see that we are getting happy users. What happens if we don't? We are talking with people, they don't seem interested, they try it a little bit, but then they leave really quickly. Like it seems like it's not working. When you see that, you know for a fact that the problem is the product, or maybe the message. It's like something is not working there, right? So we will keep iterating on product until you see some really happy people. Now is when the shift happens. Because from here we will think, okay, now let's get to product market fit. What is that? There is not a good definition of that anywhere. Seems to be something like you have a lot of users, you're making some good revenue, and it seems that you can bring these users at a reasonable cost. Sure. Now, when we are here, if we have some happy users, then we believe, hey, product is great. I saw these people. They are happy. They come, they use it, they leave testimonials, I talk with them. So I know the product works. So how do we think about getting more users? Well, first, like, we know that they need to know this thing, and we know that it's great. So we just have to get them to try, right? If they try this product, they will discover how great it is, because other people did that too. So we just have to persuade them to try. How do we do that? Well, first, they need to know that we exist. We are a new company, right? We will create product awareness with ads or social media or something. But what if we run our ads and they are not coming? We know that the product is great, so it's like maybe they need some help. So we will run more ads. And what if that also doesn't work? Well, maybe we need to play with a lot of landing pages and designs and copy. Yeah, but what if they are still not coming? Seems like we are never gonna get here. They just need help, right? So let's put an offer. Let's motivate them to try. If they try, I know that my product is great. They will love it. And if that doesn't work, oh, maybe the sign-up flow is too long. And if that doesn't work, you know what? We are going to send them 12 emails with tips to show them how great the product is. They will see. And eventually, like, we are going to give them badges. We are going to give them things. Everyone loves badges. That is going to work. This is what we do. Really, like, this is the conventional way of doing this thing. We know some people love it. We just need to persuade them to try. Which to me looks a lot like this. Also, if you think about this, this also means that this is how we believe we are going to beat competitors, not only other startups, really big companies. And I'm not sure about that. But this model has this first big problem, that is, it makes us think that it's all about us. We have a great product, we just have to convince people. Sure, but these people have other alternatives out there. So how does that play here? And what the model says is like, no, your product is great, they will come to you. Let's see. So we have this situation where they know about us, they ignore us, so we have to do all of that. On the other end, we have this. But this is not, you tell them that the new iPhone is live and you get a queue. No, I want you to look at a single user. One person in this queue. What is he thinking? I know that the iPhone is live. I'm willing to wait a queue of 3 hours. And now compare these two. I know that the product is live. I'm willing to wait. I'm going to do whatever it takes. I know that the product is live. I ignore it. And then the company expects that I change my mind because ads, because badges, because emails. This is company push. We are pushing them, persuade them to try. This is customer pull. That person wants it so much that he's willing to wait a queue of 3 hours. Now, what do you think is the best way to beat a competitor? Obviously, this one. But at the same time, what we do is this. Because we believe, no, our product is great. If we do this, more people will know it. And if more people will know it, eventually they will make a queue. Yeah, are you sure about that? Like, we are not putting the effort on how to achieve this thing. And now you are thinking, yeah, of course, Diego, but Apple is Apple, and we are not. We just launched our product. So it's a new, unproven, because not a lot of people tested it. So a lot of people don't know if this works or it doesn't. A lot of people even never heard about it. So the question is, why will somebody wait in line for a product like yours right now, today, new, unheard of, unproven? The short answer, because they have no alternative. The long answer, that's what we're going to discuss today. So, who is willing to wait in line for us today? And I mean today, because we think, yeah, I have a product vision where I'm going to keep completing the product and adding more features. So eventually people will want to wait in line for me. Yeah, that's great. I mean today, because we need people today. We don't have 5 years to keep making the product perfect. And if we can find some people like this, we don't have to push. It's going to be much easier to grow. And to understand that, we're going to use Whereby as an example. So now we are the CEOs of Whereby. Whereby is like Zoom, but more beautiful, more simple, and with a lot of more pastel tones everywhere. What do they mean with simple? Zoom, you have to download it, set it up, and send like this massive link. With Whereby, you just get a really short link, you click, you go to the browser. So it's a bit more like Google Chat, but more beautiful. Okay, let's imagine that we are in the early days of Whereby. What do we do first? Well, we will think, who can use this product? What customers could benefit from our product? Yeah, everyone that needs to do video calls, sure. But we know that within this massive group, there are like smaller groups. So we will have the enterprise, tech startups, freelancers, individuals. And some companies say, look, who is my customer? Well, everyone that can use it. Who doesn't want simpler and more beautiful, right? But let's say that they decided, okay, we are going to be a bit more narrow with this. Because individuals, yeah, like maybe they don't do a lot of video calls, and freelancers, maybe they are looking for something free. An enterprise, they're gonna have some security requirements that we don't have in the product yet. So it looks like tech startups is a good place to start. These people do a lot of video calls, right? We add another layer to that. It's like, oh, we are gonna start just in the US, so we can at least like concentrate our efforts a little bit. So we are discarding all these people and focusing only on this. Now, if I ask you, CEO of Whereby today, who is your customer, you will reply something like, yeah, tech startups, 10 to 50 employees located in the US. Okay, what do we do next? Well, we have to persuade these people, right? And we need a message, a benefit of some kind. We were talking with users, and they mentioned, what I love is simplicity. It's so easy. That was also our idea when we built it. So, beautiful, simple video calls. Good. And now, how do we get to product market fit? Remember, it's the early days. We are targeting our first group. We have our first USP. And now we need more people to get to Series A, right? What do we do? Well, we will have to run ads so these people know we exist. And when they fail, well, now you know what to do, right? And that's how we do it now. This is the conventional way of doing it. Let's see if we can challenge that. There is a problem with this. Let me zoom in into the tech startups. So I already discarded a lot of people. Now, we think that everyone here is pretty much the same. Hey, we already segmented. We already discarded a lot of people. So it's kind of an homogeneous group, right? Let's see. If we look at this group, thinking, what is what they are using right now to do video calls? What we will find is that we have a group that is new. That is, I don't have any video call solution. I never needed one. Okay? We will have a group that is switching, where they were using Zoom or Google Chat, and for some reason, they are looking for something else. And we will have a really big group, not at the scale here, because it's going to be like almost everything, that have one solution. Maybe this, maybe others. But the important thing is that it works for them. Now, we also have this idea that if a product is better, people will switch. That is not true. If you are using Zoom right now, and Zoom works for you, are you sure are you gonna switch to a new solution that you never heard of just because they say that is simpler? Do you even gonna try to test it? No, you have a lot of other million problems. You will only start researching and testing things if you really need a new solution, but not just because it exists. Now, with this in mind, let's think, are they gonna switch, change solutions? And if they do, will they switch to us? These guys don't. So they will not switch to us or to anybody. Now, what about the switching? Why switching? Usually companies or people switch because the solution was working, something changed, and we will see what I mean with that in a second, and now it doesn't work anymore. I can't use Zoom anymore. So they will switch. That's almost a fact. Now, to us, we will see. And new, they now need something new. And if you think about it, it's the same. Something changed. I didn't have a company, now I do. So I need something to talk with the other team members. Something changed. That you create the company. Will they switch? we will see too. So we already discarded all the other people. And out of the tech startups, we now discarded all the OK. And we are just with new and switching. Let's see if we can find something here. Somebody willing to wait a queue. New. What are they using? Nothing. What changed? What I mentioned before. I just create the company and I have the first calls. Think about this. For them to have nothing, it means they never had to do video calls before, or before in that environment. So we are talking even before they create the companies. They're having the talks to find like co-founders to create this thing. What is the default solution? But what is this thing with the default? Default solution is a well-known, trusted solution to solve a problem for a particular group of people. That translated is, if these guys go and ask, hey, we just created a company, what should we use to do video calls? People will tell them, Google Chat. It's free, it works, it's kind of easy to use, it's not beautiful, but look, it's free and it works. If you don't have anybody to ask, you will ask Google. Or you will ask ChatGPT that knows everything. And he will tell you, Google Chat. Yeah, go for it. Because it's the trusted solution for really small companies. Like, look, it's free, it works. Will it work for them? Most likely. Why? Yeah, because you don't become the default solution unless it works. You become the default because a lot of people tried it, realize that it works, and put that information in rankings, in search engines, in word of mouth. So when you ask, what you get is the default. So will they switch to us? No. Okay, bad luck. Let's see if we can find somebody else. Switching from Google Chat. This is somebody, a different company, right? A different tech startup in the US. Although, if you think about it, it can be the same guys a few months later. Because what changed so it doesn't work anymore? Why do you stop using Google Chats? There are going to be different cases. And it's, as you can see now, it's not straightforward. They are not really intuitive, like not easy to find. One case can be, look, when we were small, we were like 10, we had one-to-one meetings, sometimes in person, sometimes on video calls, and sometimes team meetings, everyone together. But then now we are 20 people, and we have team meetings, small ones, like 5 people. These 5 people finish the meeting and it's like, we should have recorded this, because that was really interesting, and the other team is going to need that too. Suddenly, you need something that you didn't need before. You were happy with Google Chat without recording anything. Now, can you record with Google Chat? Yes, they have the functionality somewhere. Is it easy to record, easy to share, easy to set up? No, it is not. Most people don't even know that this thing exists. I didn't. I had to dig a lot until I found it. So they will ask, what is the default solution? A, they will ask somebody, what do I use to record and share video? Like, Zoom, of course, like, is what everyone uses, is the default. Will it work for them? Well, Zoom storage is kind of expensive. So only if they can afford it. But we are talking about a company that is growing. So probably, most likely, yes, they can afford it. And if they can afford it, they don't switch to us. They switch from Google Chat to Zoom. Bad luck. Let's try again. Maybe somebody that is using Zoom. But again, it's hard to find these things. What can it be? Like, I was thinking a lot about that. It's like, why somebody's using Zoom, is working for me, and now it's not. What happened? It seems that the whereby people did their homework, and they tried to really understand this. Why people use or can't use solutions. And they found a really interesting case. That is hybrid meetings, where you have the team in a room and somebody online. Now, or they have a centralized microphone, and this person hears pretty much nothing, or they are opening the mics and you are getting feedback and it becomes just a disaster. This person never feels like he's with the rest of the team, don't listen to half of what is being said. I was there several times, and it's the worst. So that's what they found. Look, so let's map that. If you're using Zoom, and now you started having frequent meetings, mixing people online and offline, and that happens, for example, you have a small team, five in the same working space, but now you start collaborating with other partners, and you do that online. The very first time, you're trying to solve that. After you have 5 meetings that are a disaster, you don't want Zoom anymore. It's not working for you. You need something else, and you need it now. Now we are talking about switching. But they will switch to another default if they can. But Zoom doesn't work already, and Google Chat doesn't have anything to manage this, to remove the echo and understand what mic should be open and closed. So this will not work. Therefore, if a company in this situation knows about us, whereby just know about us, they will wait in line. They need a solution. They need it now. And we found that thing that is killing them. And no trusted solution is working. And when you can't find any other trusted solution, you will start with the untrusted solutions. The new ones, the startups that you never heard about. But that is kind of the last option, the last resort. But we can find people there. Now, let's think about this. Who can be in this situation? If we can put that as a segment. Tech startups, maybe 10, 20 employees that start hiring remote workers. But they also tend to have, all of them have laptops, good mics, they're used to do one-on-ones. Maybe they can find ways to work around that. Can we find an even stronger case, a stronger segment? What about traditional companies? That they never had like even one-on-ones. Everyone was going to the office. And now there is a lot of work from home. 1 day, 2 days. That company doesn't know what to do, how to handle that. Suddenly he has some people at home, some people in the office, they are trying to communicate, it's a disaster. So this case is not switching. This case is desperate because the default doesn't work. So let's recap all of this. And let's start remembering the core idea. A user will always prefer a well-known trusted solution, the default, than something that looks better on paper, but is unproven, unheard of. I don't know if this is gonna work. I never heard about them. I didn't see other people using it. Why? Because the risk of an unproven solution is always bigger than whatever benefit you have here. So if you think about it, we have 2 cases that doesn't work. The OK are not even gonna switch. And then the switching, they will switch, but they will try a default first. And if it works, that's it. And new, exactly the same thing. So the only true customer that we can get at the beginning when we are a non-default is the desperate one. The one that needs a solution, has a problem and no default solution is working. Then they are willing to try this new startup. Let's see how it goes. Because the risk right now, you can't mitigate that risk. You try the low risk solutions, the default, and none of them work. So now it's not a matter of risk or no risk. It's a matter of I need that thing or I can't operate. So with this in mind, the question that we had at the beginning, why will somebody wait in line for a new, unproven, unheard of product? The desperate. Why? Because they have no alternative. And now you are thinking, okay, Diego, that sounds great. But this looks like a really small niche. How do I grow from here? Like, I need a big market, right? Like, choose a big market and then push until you get them all. Remember something. Everyone here needs to do video calls. Everyone here could use your product. They are not going to switch, not because they can't or because they don't like simple or better or pastel tones. They will not switch because they don't need to or because there is a less risky solution out there. And they are willing to leave the beauty and simple away just to have less risk, because I don't want to bring that solution to my company and get fired because it's a disaster. Or for B2C, I don't want to spend the money on this thing just to see that it doesn't work and and I feel bad because I wasted money. So risk is gonna come first. But everyone can use you. So how do we get these people? Becoming the default. How do you do that? Well, we have two parts of the framework that we are learning. Pull by design to solve this, and DMARC, decentralized marketing, that is how we are going to build trust so we become the default. And when we are the default, we are another video call solution that is simple, that is beautiful, and also it has removes the echo. A lot of these people will try us first and will switch to us once we have trust. So no problem with niche, we will get this. And what about the people that don't need to switch? Well, two cases. You don't need to until you need. As we saw, context changes and suddenly you become like switching. So people will move here. And for the ones that stay here forever, the thing is, some will switch because of the fear of missing out. If I see everyone else switching, if now I see everyone using Zoom and I was using Skype, it's like, I don't want to use Skype anymore. I'm going to look bad. I'm going to look like old-fashioned. I'm going to look like out of touch. Even if Skype was working for me, I will switch to Zoom. But for that, you have to be massive and everyone using you. We can also achieve that with DMARC and become identity default. That is another category of default, like default plus. So with that, let's wrap this thing up. What is the key insight of what we just learned? That we tend to think who can benefit from our product, and out of everyone, we choose a segment and we believe, hey, we already did segmentation. We are not trying to be everything for everyone. But we mistake this group as if everyone here is the same. What we saw is we did a segmentation based on context. What solution do they have? What solution do they, why it's not working? Like, they just create the company, that is context. The team grew, that is context. Like, so we are looking at that context and how it changes. That way of segmenting is called customer instances, or CI. Now, we use this idea using context and asking these questions to find a desperate CI, where we found tech startups and traditional SMBs. where this one looks like truly desperate, so a desperate CI, desperate customer instance, a group segmented by context and context change, and this one so-so. Now look at these two situations. We are targeting these people. Some of them are going to be in this case, and they will switch to us. And a lot of them will not. They will switch to Zoom, or from Zoom to Google Chat, or Google Chat to Zoom. Some are okay. So it's no wonder that when you get out and you do your ads, nobody responds, because just a small fraction of these people here is desperate. And the rest are not going to switch to a non-default. They're not going to switch to the startup. They will switch to the default or don't switch. So that forces us to do these things. I don't think that we really want to do this. We are forced to, because we know that we need to keep growing, and it's not working. And it's not working because the definition that we have of who our customer is broken. On the other hand, if we can find this group and you just tell them you exist, you will have them waiting in line. Now, I'm going to go even further. I'm going to do get to the logical conclusion that is not obvious. And it can be scary. Let's look at it. Two ways of getting to product market fit. The conventional method, where we believe, hey, I have happy users, that means the product is great. So let's have our USP, let's define a target market, and let's go for it. All in, like ads and more ads and everything that we can. Right? So, and that's how we think about it right now. The product is great, people will switch to a better product. We know that that is not true. So we just need to persuade them to try. Now we see that is not the most intelligent or the most efficient way to do it. It's the hardest, and it's not going to work in a lot of cases. Or if we have happy users, then we saw that that is telling us that there are some of these cases that, hey, these people came to us and we are a startup. So that means that there are gaps in the market, that the default solution doesn't work every time. And if we spend our time understanding that, and some of these people will switch to us and they will stay, some people will switch, a lot of them, they will drop 2 days after they sign up. So we will try to learn both the ones that come and it works and the ones that come and it doesn't work. But we are trying to understand, what are these customer instances, desperate ones that are out there? What are these combinations where there is no default solution? So what you are doing is you're using your product as a discovery tool. Instead of, I have proof that it works, I nail it after several MVPs, now it's about growth. I have the first users, great, I have access to the market right now, I can talk with these people, I have access to them, I can see them in action, how it works, how it doesn't. And talking with them, reverse engineer this whole thing until you find okay, I found this group and there is no default that works. So now we can get them all. So now you need to align the product. And sometimes the alignment is going to be smaller, they are still a video calls app. They added this new feature and now it fits this group really well. So it's perfectly aligned. Some cases the alignment maybe can get us farther. So instead of sticking with our latest iteration of the MVP that seemed to work a little bit and go all in as if that is proof that it works, we use that working version of the MVP to find people. And maybe we have to ditch the whole thing, or maybe just align a little bit. But what we have in mind is that that working version is just a way to learn. And then aligned. When do you know that you align it well? Because now you see pull, you see they waiting for you. How do you know that? Because instead of getting out and talking with them and they ignore you and you have to do a lot of things, you barely mention what you do and you have a queue. And that is pull. Thank you very much. So that was the talk. Now, let's try to make that in practice with a challenge. We discussed this idea that just asking these questions, we can find interesting things. And we explore that for new, for switching, failing, and then for one that the default doesn't work, so they are desperate. Okay, that's what I want you to do. So you can start thinking about this. Are we gonna find a real customer instance, a desperate one? Most likely not. Remember, this is really hard, and it's only the customer that will tell you what is this thing. But if we do this exercise, we can get a lot of clarity on different cases that maybe exist in reality or not. What questions to ask them? What should I look at? We are looking for context that changes. So what is that context? Doing this exercise provides you with this first idea. So when you talk with them, you can make better questions. Steps. Define the two default solutions. Let's say that there are at least two that solve the same problem that you solve. So your product does something. Okay. What is the solution that if go and ask ChatGPT, how can I do this in this country? And he will tell you. But there is always a common way to deal with the problem. Always. Like people are not waiting years until you arrive. They are solving it today, and if you arrive and the default is not working, they will try you. Then, once we have the two defaults, you're going to define one case using new. So somebody that is not using anything, and then the default. Trying to understand when that happens. One with switching. Pick one of the defaults and switches to the other one. Why? And it's really interesting to think about why they can stop using one, what forces them to do that, and will the other one work? And while you're doing that, hopefully you will find a desperate case. Where it's like, oh, if they are using one default and something happens, there is no other default that works. Now you have them. So with that, now you can do some brainstorming on who can be in this situation and get to some definitions of these desperate CIs. Hey, thank you for watching. I'm not gonna push you. I'm just gonna let you know how you can pull it. If you found it useful, you can pull it liking. And remember, this is the first of 12 talks. If you want to know when the next one comes and you really want to pull this content, please subscribe. Thank you very much.